You're listening to The Greater Loop, a podcast from the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston. In each episode, we bring to you leaders who connect Houston to the world, from business to diplomacy, innovation to impact. This is where global conversation begins. Let's get started.
Welcome to The Greater Loop, a program of the World Affairs Council of Greater Houston. My name is Marianne Maldonado, and today my guest is Megan Ortiz. Megan is the Senior Director of External Relations at Axiom Space, and thank you for joining us today, Megan.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Good to see you, Marianne.
Good to see you, and on this kind of wintry day in Houston, tell us what's going on with Axiom Space.
Absolutely. So Axiom Space is focused on building the successor to the International Space Station. We are also building the next generation spacesuit. So the next time that astronauts walk on the surface of the moon, they'll be wearing an Axiom Space spacesuit, which I have the great honor of being officing in that facility. And then we're also focused on operating end-to-end missions to the International Space Station on behalf of private astronauts throughout the world, whether they represent themselves or governments throughout the world.
So this is such an interesting career. I've got to ask, what first drew you to this industry? How did you get to where you are today?
Oh, I appreciate that. So I'm actually a Houston kid. I'm sixth generation Houstonian and super proud of being able to grow up in Houston. I think that a part of the natural growth of having a childhood in Houston is two things. One, when I was little, you got tickets to the Astros games for getting a really good score on your report card. So we went to a lot of Astro games, and then also went to NASA Space Center Houston on a very regular basis. And so I've just been really fortunate to be continually inspired by the aerospace industry throughout my career. So whenever Axiom came and asked me if I'd like to consider a role here, it was absolutely a dream come true.
I can imagine. Was this your dream from going through college? Did you think you'd land in the role you're in?
Well, that's a great question because my role is very much so focused on building relationships throughout the state of Texas. Part of those relationships, of course, include our fantastic consular corps and all the international communities we have here in Houston. So I spent the majority of my college career really focused on how do I get more involved in the Texas legislature and our international communities who are so active in the state of Texas. And I also, in the background, had always had an interest in aerospace as well. And so this really, truly has been a dream come true and the perfect intersection of both of those interests.
So you started out by telling us some cool things. You're going to make the next space station and these new and improved, wonderful, grand spacesuits. Tell us a little bit about what's going to be different, similar, alike. Let us know.
One of my favorite factoids about the Axiom Station is the operational readiness that we will have to support nations across the globe, in addition, of course, to the United States. Before, if you wanted to see a space station be built before it was launched, you had to get on a plane and you had to go to Florida. And that's where you saw the modules in person. Now, you just drive down 45, head to the Houston Spaceport, where we have one of our offices located, our assembly and integration testing facility, and that's where you're going to see the modules being constructed and built for Axiom Station. Also, with our spacesuits, we're so fortunate to have a fantastic relationship with Prada, and we've been so fortunate to be able to work with them on the external layer of our spacesuit. They have a fantastic material science division, so we're really excited to be able to integrate that science and background and the relationships they have with manufacturers across the globe into this next generation spacesuit.
This sounds so exciting. So I'm sure at some point I'm going to ask you about, can we come see them? We'll get to that in just a second. So much is happening in the space realm. So many countries are involved. So many partners are involved. Who do you see being the most active right now in the space industry internationally?
Absolutely. Well, we're really fortunate to have a lot of partners across the nation. Something that Axiom is dedicated to is continuing that international collaboration that you've seen aboard the International Space Station. In addition to that, we're eager to bring on new partners, new nations, new universities. We believe that whenever we bring in new partners, we are diversifying perspectives, reducing costs, generating workforce development. And so we're just really fortunate to have international partners across the globe, whether they've been involved in the space industry before or this is their first mission. We've worked with countries all over the world.
That must be really exciting. On the diplomatic and commercial side, have you seen any, really big successes happen in the last year or so?
One thing that's been really exciting is our partnership with the Italians. More recently, they celebrated Italian Space Day here in Houston. And as I was preparing remarks for that event, I was going over our different verticals, realizing that we have the country of Italy involved through Thalassania, who is working with us to build our modules for our Axiom station. We also are working with them on the Prada space, or the Axiom Space suit, which is a partnership with Prada. And then also we have flown pilot Walter Villaday, Colonel Walter Villaday, rather, to International Space Station on behalf of the Italian Air Force. And so it's really exciting to see how Italy's been involved in all facets and continues to have that leadership in aerospace.
How will your International Space Station differ from the current one?
Well, we're looking on bringing commercial partners across the spectrum. So, like I mentioned previously, we have partners that are involved with us who have traditionally been involved in the ISS, but we're also folding in new partners. So, for example, we flew the first Turkish astronaut to the International Space Station, as well as the first 2 Saudi astronauts to the International Space Station. We had 2 Saudi nationals from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia aboard the AX-2 mission. So, super excited to work with them. And so we continue to see this evolution of new partners being added into the fold of how we address international collaboration and cooperation. And so that's just a facet that we're excited to continue on Axiom Station, to continue that robust international collaboration, which is only going to lead to more innovation and advancements of technology across the entire globe.
We're seeing new players in this space, from emerging economies to private ventures. We're seeing them all enter into the space arena. It's exciting. Everyone wants to play a part. How does Axiom adapt to this increasingly bipolar environment, and where innovation and policy are changing at different speeds throughout each nation?
Absolutely. So one of the things that we like to do is make sure that anytime we're working with a nation or an entity on their space strategy, that it is a highly customizable end result. So these products we work across all of our various verticals, but we want to ensure that we're working at a speed in which is most beneficial to how they see their space strategy moving forward. And that differs across nations, across different private entities across the world. But the ability that we have is to be flexible and make sure we're building a highly curated experience.
Sure. With private companies acting as informal ambassadors from their home countries, how does Axiom balance its identity as a US-based company with regard to its global mission and its multinational cooperations?
Absolutely. Well, we're really excited about continuing international collaboration across the globe. We're really proud to be a US-based organization and company, Texas-based organization. We have 3 offices in the Southeast Houston area. We're focused on having a continuous human presence in low Earth orbit on behalf of the United States. And so we'll continue to have that anchored in our collaboration across the globe as various changes happen, but just super excited to be able to continue the dedicated collaboration we've seen to date on the ISS and have that continue through on Axiom Station.
And keeping with that theme, I think we all understand that space is a bridge and can be a bridge and not a barrier. Historically, space exploration has united countries in some instances, even during moments of geopolitical tension.
Yep.
From your perspective, how can commercial space projects like Axiom's contribute to international understanding and peaceful cooperation?
Absolutely. So I've actually talked to a few of our astronauts about this very question. They always reference something called the overview effect. It is a real phenomenon that happens whenever astronauts are aboard the ISS and they say they're looking back at the blue and green marble. The borders melt away and you really just see one Earth from that vantage point. And so what we're looking to do is make sure that we give that vantage point to those across the globe throughout their throughout their travel to low Earth orbit, and ensuring that that we unify together under the collaboration and the opportunities that are then available through international affairs that are happening in low Earth orbit.
So what would you say would be the most significant milestone that you might want to achieve, or Axiom might want to achieve in the next 6 to 8 months?
Absolutely. Well, this year we're excited to receive our first module for Axiom Station to the spaceport, and then our second module will soon there follow. And so we're continuing to achieve great strides with our spacesuit program. And then more recently, we launched 2 nodes as part of our orbital data centers this past Sunday, actually. And so looking forward to continuing to have that program grow throughout 2026.
Now, I know our audience is very interested in this and would certainly want to know more. How can we learn more about Axiom Space? Do you do tours? Are you out in the community doing different things? Will there be a viewing of these modules at some point before they're sent up? Maybe you could tell us.
I imagine so. There'll be an opportunity for the public to engage with this just highly regarded milestone that we're going to have here in Houston before the modules are launched. One thing I like to say is I'm always out and about in the community. Being involved in the Houston and Texas community is very, very important to me. And so I want anybody to feel like they can always reach out to me to figure out how they can get involved with Axiom Space, and just make sure that they keep a look at our website, which is axiomspace.com, which provides updates on all of our milestones, advancements. It also has a drill down to all the different achievements we've had across our missions. So we've operated 4 missions to date, private astronaut missions across 4 years on behalf of 11 nations and 14 astronauts. And so a lot of fantastic research and insight into those missions is also available at axiomspace.com.
Well, Houston is Space City, and we encourage all of our audience to check out Axiom Space. Thank you, Megan, for joining us today. It's been our privilege to have you.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Marian. I appreciate your time.